So, as we can see, you have clicked this. This could be for all sorts of reasons, honestly. It could be curiosity. It could just be that you simply want this. Maybe some extra affirmation if you already know who you are. But I know it's anticlimactic, but you are already a girl if you want to be a girl. But I know it's not always as simple as that. There's parts of being a girl that often gets locked away when you're forced to live as someone else. And know that you and only you decide which of those girly things you actually want to do. Your gender isn't defined by how many girly things you do. It's not defined by having stereotypically girly traits. It's not defined by how many times someone says that you're basically a girl. Because it's hard for people to actually know these kind of things. Instead, it's based on what's in your heart. If you like girls' clothes, if you like makeup, if you like perhaps a girly hobby, I don't know, like ballet or something. Whether you enjoy or don't enjoy these, you can still be a girl. Like video games? Yeah, sure, you can still be a girl. Maybe you like sport. Yeah, you can still be a girl. Maybe, well, all sorts of things really. With cisgendered women, or people that aren't trans basically, they can indulge in all sorts of hobbies really. Their gender is rarely seriously put into question for their hobbies. The only reason transgender people get that treatment is because of transphobia within society. But if you, wonderful viewer, wonderful listener, wonderful person, if you want to be a girl, then you've already done, well, most of it, in a way. By clicking on this audio track, you've confirmed one thing. You want to be a girl. Or at least you want to explore femininity. I mean, why else did you click on a video or an audio track that literally has the phrase, "This will turn you into a girl"? I don't have the answer to those things. But perhaps you already do. Or perhaps you don't know yet. And you don't have to know, really. It can mean all sorts of things. Merely touching the fabric of a skirt doesn't just change your brain chemistry. Instead, it just might make you feel happy. If you've ever tried girls' clothes, think of how that made you feel. If you've ever tried indulging in a girly hobby or being referred to as a girl, I guess think of how those made you feel. It matters significantly less how you feel about masculine things, for example, because dysphoria isn't the main indicator of being trans. Instead, it's euphoria. What that means is, it's not about how miserable you are as a boy. It's about how much happier you think you'd be as a girl. If you've cruised through life and never had any crazy problems to overcome, you can still be a girl. You don't have to have a dramatic backstory. You don't have to overcome pain. You don't have to have a traumatic environment. But perhaps you might. I can't mind read. I mean, I'm talking to someone in the future. Which is kind of cool when you think about it. I wonder what the furthest point in the future someone will listen to this is. I admit I'm curious, but I'm getting off topic. You're allowed to be a girl. Maybe you've always dreamt of being a girl. Maybe you've had little daydreams. Maybe you've kind of bargained with yourself and allowed yourself to quote-unquote cross-dress but still live as a boy. Maybe that felt good for a while, but maybe now that's not enough. Maybe it is. That's up to you. Perhaps you tried other identities to try to make sense of it without confronting being trans. Maybe you interacted with the gay male community. Or maybe you just hanged out with a lot of girls. 'Cause maybe, just maybe you can be like them. One of the girls, that is. At least that's kind of what I did. I almost wondered if I hanged out with just girls, I'd just become one. And, well, it's not perfect science, but I did end up being a girl, so it worked, just not the reason I thought it did. Another thing, even if you had no idea you wanted this until even yesterday, then that's fine. It's not a contest to who finishes first. I figured out I was trans when I was like an 8-year-old. I understand that's privilege. That's really young. I'm thankful I had that information at such a young age. But that doesn't make me better than other people. That doesn't make me worse than other people either. It's privilege, yes, but every trans person has equal rights. Well, an equal right to be themselves. You don't earn the trans ticket by merely being there first. That'd be absurd. I understand narratives on the internet almost romanticize the idea of figuring it out as a baby, playing with Barbie dolls, perhaps having a kindergarten crush with a boy back then. The idea of someone being so girl that it's almost like they're trapped in a different body. You might have heard this narrative before. Maybe you identify with it. Maybe you don't. That's also up to you. Whether we are trapped or not, though, we all still deserve to live as women. We deserve to be around long enough to be women. It's not about being the first to figure it out. It's about in the present, trying to find what feels right and going with that. I personally admire the strength of people much older than me that transition at such an old age. I hope that doesn't sound rude the way I said that, but I just always admired the strength of people that do that. I don't know how easily I could have done that if that was the circumstance I was in. I have no way of knowing. I'll never know. But I know there's some things that can hold older trans people back, such as maybe a a married partner, maybe kids, perhaps the pressure of being the person you were for so long. If anyone listening can relate to that, I want you to know that just because you lived as someone else in a sense for so long doesn't mean you're not allowed to be who you are on the inside. You don't lose the right to be a girl just because you've played the role of a boy for quite some time. I've seen news stories of people in their 90s transitioning for the first time. It's never too late, really. As long as you're still breathing, you deserve to be yourself. Always. It's never too late. Perhaps someone listening to this, on the other hand, might be like me and figure this out really, really early. That's scary in its own way. You don't have the independence of an adult, yet you're tackling something so difficult. The idea of being a girl instead of what you're expected to be. That can be a hard thing to tell people. And it's really easy for people to shake it off and tell you you're wrong just because you're a kid. Even when you're a teen. Even when you're a young adult. It kind of keeps going. If you know anyone that's telling you to do it later, they're going to say that when it's later, and then later will be further away. It will become so far away, in fact, you catch on to the fact that it will never become the present if you appease the people that want you to slow down. Only slow down if you want to slow down. It's your right to be yourself. Don't let other people stop you. I let a lot of people stop me. Sure, I came out as a 12-year-old. But that doesn't mean I fully medically transitioned as a 12-year-old. That wasn't something I was allowed to do. Because everyone said I was wrong. Well, in the end, they were wrong. They couldn't see who I was on the inside because how could they? I mean, the person on the inside, the people don't see. It's kind of hidden, I guess. Who we are, who we will be. People like to cling on to who you were and who you had to be, based on things that maybe isn't even true anymore. It's almost like that one family relative you might have that will always get you a present based on a thing you might have liked 10 years ago or something. Anyone have anything like that? Let me know. But just like someone that gives you a Star Wars shirt every Christmas, for example. Even though maybe you don't even like Star Wars. That's the thing they noticed you liked when you were like 6 or something. So that's the thing they get you. Something as absurd as that is kind of what they're doing when they try to deny your transition. They saw a boy grow up. But what they didn't see was the girl that was always there, doing her best with what she had. You didn't get to pick your clothes. You didn't get to pick your friends, really. It's kind of whatever's in front of you. I know the narrative is always the trans kid playing with Barbie dolls or something, but if anyone ever let you play with a Barbie doll, maybe things would be different, you know? It's based on what you have in front of you, what you're actually given. But you're not often really given the chance to show that you're a girl. Because people won't let you near the girl things. I remember me in particular. I wanted a Barbie doll so bad. But I was too afraid to tell anyone. Because I wasn't meant to have one of those, supposedly. Yet, if I had one in front of me, as a 5-year-old, I think I would have played with it quite a lot. It's just I never got the chance to try. So people will view me as someone that grew up with boys' toys. Well, other than the cute plushies I have, but beside the point. They saw a kid that grew up with boys' toys and got into video games and stuff because that's what was in front of me. That might have been what was in front of you. A life that was chosen for you. I don't know how old you are. I don't know what life experience you have. There's a lot of things I don't know about you. But I think the only person that does is you. Some memories can kind of hide themselves. I mean, if I trusted my memory, I would have thought I didn't figure out who I was until I was like 10, but I found a notebook I wrote in 2008 that said that I wish I was a girl and that I thought Barbies were cool. So, I knew earlier than my memory told me I did. So, if you think you didn't figure it out when you were younger, that might actually not be true. You might have figured it out. However, you might have buried it for safety. We simply can't know these things. Especially as we get older, it can become harder to remember childhood memories. However, you've come this far. And even if it wasn't in the way that you wanted it to, that doesn't decrease value in you. You are still a wonderful, wonderful woman, even if people around you don't see that yet. But, I mean, again, you clicked on this. I don't have the answers to why you clicked on this, but you did. That's something that can't be taken away, I guess. And that's not a bad thing. It doesn't lock you into anything. That'd be ridiculous. This is an audio file on the internet. Instead, maybe this can get you thinking. Why did you click this? Do you want to live as a girl? If everyone was hypothetically really okay with you transitioning, and society let you do this very easily, would you do it? Would you do it if it was free? Would you do it if there'd be no stigma? Would you do it if you looked a certain way? If you answered yes to those questions, then that actually doesn't change your answer to whether you would transition or not. Whether you'd like to transition. I understand that reality is there's a lot of stuff not in our control. That'll make transition very hard, to some extent a bit grueling. However, there is light at the end of the tunnel. And it's a really beautiful light. My neighborhood actually has really beautiful flowers. And I never noticed them before because they always sat on a hill that was a bit above my eye line wherever I was looking. I was always looking down. All of this is to say, You deserve this. If you want it, you can have it. You can be you. And you didn't have to figure this out as a literal baby. And you don't have to have specific hobbies. You don't have to look a certain way. You don't have to sound a certain way. I understand there's things you might want to change about yourself, but that's kind of what transition is in a way. It's just some little changes that add up into one big change. I mean, my voice did not sound like this when I started. Some audios I've done, I swapped voices, but it's so far in the audio. Maybe someone's sleeping to this. We wouldn't want to startle them, now would we? However, when I started, I looked pretty different. I was pretty tall, at least compared to people around me. But I made it work. And I think that's what's important. Making it work. Who you are is who you are. You are allowed to be a girl. If this video or audio track or whatever format this is in, if this could have turned you into a girl instantly, would you have wanted this audio track to do such a thing? The answer is up to you. What that answer means, however, is also up to you. Which is kind of scary, but also exciting. But you don't have to rush it. But on the other hand, you can go as fast as you want. As fast as the world will let you. Or as slow as you want to. And there's all sorts of scary doubts in the world. Transphobia is pretty intense lately. But that's only a small vocal minority. The kind of people that sit in their basement in their underwear being angry on social media. There's a lot of politicians that act very bigoted, specifically just to get votes. They don't really care about this kind of thing. And while I can't make that easier to deal with, I can tell you that you are not alone. When I started, I couldn't find anyone on the internet that was my age when I transitioned. I felt like I was the only one, you know? But I'm not. I never was. And neither are you. There's people just like you. Perhaps they're different kinds of people, but they relate to this fundamental experience of being trans. And you are allowed to be a girl. I encourage you to explore and do what feels right for you. Whether that's as simple as putting on a skirt, getting your friends to use she, her pronouns or they, them pronouns. Whether that's finding an informed consent clinic to get hormones, or perhaps the older, psychologist way, depending on where you live. But there's all sorts of ways to start your journey. And it can start with a simple step of just saying to yourself, I am a girl. You don't have to do that. But if you want to do that, then by all means. There's so much to be proud of. Literal thousands of years of trans history still exists. I don't know how it survived historical records, but here it is. You know? It's here. We're here. And we always have been. So if you, for whatever reason, are saying to yourself, people like me can't transition, that's silly. But I understand why we think that sometimes. When there's a certain expectation of what a trans person looks, sounds, and is. But they're just stereotypes. Or whatever you want to do. Whoever you're attracted to. Whatever clothes you like. You can do what you want. But at the end of the day, take note of the reason you clicked on this audio track. And I hope that guides you.